That means that the forms are very easy to remember. For all regular verbs, we make the past form in the same way. We add ed, or just d if the verb already ends in e. For example, the verb look. The verb is look, and to make the past form, we just add ed, looked. And the verb like. It already ends in e, so we just add d to make the past, liked. So far, so good. But the bad news is that a lot of the most common English verbs, verbs that you need to use all the time, are irregular. This means that they don't follow the same rule. Have is an irregular verb. You already know that the past of have isn't halved, it's had. But there are a lot more of them. Listen to part of Carolina's conversation with her new flatmates. Can you hear the 3 different forms of the verb fly?
Did you fly to Newcastle?
No, I got the train to Newcastle. I flew to London, to Heathrow.
Oh, okay. Where are you from?
I'm from Venezuela.
Really? Wow. Have you flown from Venezuela today? You must be exhausted.
Did you hear the 3 forms? They were fly, flew, and flown. If you use a course book or have a grammar book to study, it probably has a list of irregular verbs, and the list is organised in 3 columns. If you look for the verb fly, you will see fly in the first column, flew in the second column, and flown in the third. Listen again.
Did you fly to Newcastle?
No, I got the train to Newcastle. I flew to London, to Heathrow.
Fly is the base form of the verb. Some people call it the infinitive. We use it in lots of different ways. For example, we use it with going to talk about the future. He's going to fly to London next week. We use it with do and did to make questions. Did you fly to Newcastle? Remember that this first column is not the present tense. It might look the same. We say, I fly to London every week. But remember that we say he or she flies. The second column is flew. This column is easy. It's the past simple form. Flew is the past simple of fly. Carolina flew to London and then she got the train to Newcastle. Now let's look at the third column. Listen again.
I'm from Venezuela.
Really? Wow. Have you flown from Venezuela today? You must be exhausted.
The third column is flown. Some people call it the past participle. We never use this form alone. We use it with other verbs. We often use it with have or has to make the present perfect, like Emily did. Have you flown from Venezuela today? Or we can say, I've never flown in a helicopter. We also use the third column with the verb be in sentences like, Nissan cars are made in Japan, or my bag was stolen on the bus. So that's the 3 columns in an irregular verb list. Now we need to think about the best way to learn these irregular forms. It probably isn't a very good idea to sit down with a list of irregular verbs and try to learn all of them. There are a lot of irregular verbs in English, and some of them will be verbs that are new to you. The important thing is to learn the 3 forms of the verbs that you already know, so that you can use those verbs correctly. Make a page in your notebook for irregular verbs. Make 3 columns and fill in the verbs that you already know. Verbs like make, do, meet, have, and go, for example. Then write a sentence with each form as an example. Example sentences will help you to remember the forms. Then, when you find a new verb, you can add it to your list. You can find a link to a list of irregular verbs on our website. Use it to check the forms of the verbs that you know and add them to your notebook. Now, let's talk about something different. The weather. Listen to Ravi talking to the people who are going to do the quiz.
What's the weather like in Durham today, Jason?
Not great, really.